will I get invited? I'm already deep inside it. I can't shake it, I can't hide it. I am the outsider. No reason to get excited. We don't have to be so divided. I can't shake
What's happening, everybody? Good to see y'all. Welcome back to Swansonville. I am Joe.
And I'm Angie.
And we are the Swansons. We're happy to be back with you this week. Happy New Year, everybody. Boy, it's been a wonderful year for us, and we have the pleasure today of interviewing a very, very amazing musician by the name of Jimmy Espinoza. You may know him. That's coming up later. And for us, well, we came off of a great show at the House of Blues in Anaheim. That's the last show that we played, and it was for a Christmas party hosted by Sound the Groove. And unbeknownst to us, it was packed. You know, it was a really, really cool vibe there.
Especially for just a few days before Christmas. A lot of people are pretty busy with, you know, doing their holidays outside of just Christmas Eve. Sometimes people gather, you know, weekends before, but believe it or not, a lot of people came out to celebrate Sound the Groove's Christmas party.
Right. And there was an ugly sweater contest, which is always a hoot. And in this particular one, Angie and I spent the better part of the time that we had there prior to our show walking around, introducing ourselves to guests and telling them about the ugly sweater contest and complimenting them on their ugly sweaters.
That's right. And people were being offended.
People were offended.
No, I think that when you were saying you were going up to people who were dressed up, so they had their ugly sweater on, or one guy had like a Christmas suit on.
Right.
Anyways, it all was great, but when you approach them, you're like, "You want to be in our ugly sweater contest?" People were like, "But I look good," you know.
Nobody wanted to admit the ugliness of their sweater.
That's right.
So we said, well, we're actually looking for the best sweater,
That's
you know,
right.
the most awesome sweater.
But we gave away a wonderful prize, which in it was one of these awesome coffee mugs.
Yes, in fact, I'll have a little sip. Let me mention that. Cheers.
Cheers. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
To 2019.
It's going to be a spectacular year. If this year was any indication, that we were very grateful and blessed to have had the experiences we had this year with the House of Blues being our last show of 2018.
And the winner we had for the ugly sweater, or the prize, like I said, was like Swanson swag and just a bunch of goodies in a Swanson bag, all Swanson stuff. And in the middle of our set, you know, no one wanted to admit the ugly sweater thing, so we just went ahead and went with the most enthusiastic.
Right, nobody wanted to come and claim the prize for the ugliest sweater. Therefore, we chose to make the prize for the most enthusiastic fan.
Right.
At which point, that was a great idea, by the way, on your behalf, to think of something so quickly, you know. And when you did, you got an immediate response.
That's right.
Overwhelming response.
People started hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
But one girl in particular won the prize.
That's
so
right.
She got to come up and get it, and she was real happy. Everybody loves free stuff, right?
Yeah. It was very, very cool. So that being said, we had a great time playing at the House of Blues. Thank you, John Avila, for that opportunity. And during this whole time, we were working in the studio, finishing our album, our new album, Bam! In Nashville. And so we had somebody by the name of Ken Morton, who is a music critic and owns his own magazine, Highwire Days.
So he's an editor, right?
Right, and he's everything. He's very, very brilliant man with his hands on a lot of different things, including a radio program. And he has suggested to us at our last show.
Oh, that's right. We were doing an interview with him, and Christmas was coming up, and he said, "Well, do you guys have any Christmas music, Christmas?" And we were like, "No, but we should."
Right.
So I, sure enough, put you under the gun.
You put me under, but this is not the first time that suggestion had been made to me through the years. Around Christmas time, being a songwriter, people would ask if had I written a Christmas song for that particular season or any point in time. And I had not. I had never even really made the attempt to it. I thought about it. I never did. And then when that sort of opportunity presented itself, Angie was very persistent in being sure that I did write that song. So we spent a day in the studio.
You know why I did it?
Why?
Because I knew you could do it.
Because you knew I could do it.
I knew that if I make you by pinning it on you, saying we're doing this, and then we started it, and then of course I know you. Once you start,
We
something,
started
you
it,
gotta
we
finish
got-
it.
All I really want for Christmas. You're all I really want for Christmas.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the beginning of it. And then we left the studio, had one more opportunity with a week left till Christmas to complete
It's funny,
it.
you completely procrastinated. The
I was
whole
I
time.
was hoping it was done. It was over. My intention was not to finish it. When I woke up that morning to go to the studio,
right.
I was thinking about other things that needed to
do.
get done, which
Right,
was
you're
always
like-
a million different things.
You're like, how
to
can
be
I
able
get
to
out of
avoid
this
the
one?
Christmas thing, and I would have said, well, at least I made the attempt to write it. But Angie had a different idea, and she said, we're going in the studio to finish that Christmas song
Yeah,
today.
because I was getting ready and I wanted to look good for Christmas that day to be inspiring. And I'm getting ready in my head. I'm thinking, oh, we're finishing this. And you were getting ready and you were just, so what do you think we're going to do? Do you think we're going to work on this or that? And I'm like, Christmas song. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And sure enough, when we got there, he did it.
Yeah, we were plugging away in there and having fun and recording different sections as I was writing. It was very
Intense.
It was intense.
It's
It was.
because that's how you have to get sometimes. I feel like you were in the pressure cooker. It's
Yeah.
like I put you in the Instant Pot and set you. And then you were cooking along there because you were intense that day, which was fine. I don't mind it. I like you when you're creative like that, you know, because it's a, you're not trying to be offensive to anybody. You're just in your, you're just doing, you're trying to dig deep in your soul to come up with the lyrics for the song. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's all power to you.
Well, thanks to the Lord, it went that way, and it was very inspiring with the three of us in the studio with the same intention in mind, and your beautiful face and all your good ideas and stuff. And so we put together the song, and when we were done, we demoed it real quick, and we were thrilled with what we had at that point in time, and sent it to our producer in Nashville.
That's right.
And asked him, "Can you have this done for us, complete, produced, ready to air in
Before
1 week?"
Christmas. Yeah.
In 1 week. In the interim, we were planning a video shoot to a song that we still didn't have back from Nashville. So everything was really, really hectic, frantic, lovely, beautiful, and just nutty, you know.
Yeah, it worked out.
So we got the song back, and we ordered some costume. Went to a costume store, the same costume store that we had been to for our very first video shoot.
Beginning of the Swansons. This was 5, 6 years ago, when we first started. Him and I, Vic wasn't. Hi, Vic.
Hey,
he wasn't in
what's
our
up,
lives yet, and it was just the two of us. And we would take our video camera and go out and have a plan. And it took, I don't know how many days to shoot for the song "They Say," which
That's
is
right.
on our very first album, Swansons.
And on our YouTube channel.
That's right, and it's a very funny video, and that
Very
was
funny.
the point of it, was to be very like, what? And that's what it was. So we rented these costumes from the store, and we went back there, and those same costumes were there.
Yeah, that was
But
fun.
we got what we needed for the
We
Christmas.
did Santa Claus and Mrs.
Mrs.
Claus,
Claus,
and a
elf.
and a bear and an elf and a
Frog and a
dinosaur
T-Rex.
and a all kinds of stuff. So we shot up in the mountains, up in beautiful Big Bear, California. Snow all over the ground. It was beautiful, wasn't it, Vic?
It was a lot of fun.
It was
Yes,
a lot
it
of
was.
fun. We were changing costumes in front of people. This is one of the things that we do that is quite fascinating, to go to a location, you know, a public location, where people see us maybe sometimes strip down to our underwear and put on a Santa Claus costume. You know, but that's, you know, it's for the end result. We give of ourselves. It's a great sacrifice that we make to make this video, to hopefully please our fans and bring some joy to your lives. This particular video is one of those things that when it was done, and Vic is just amazing at what he does with the filming and the editing. Man alive, we're just lucky to have him on board. So he did a great job, and he
And
delivered.
Merry Christmas.
He delivered it to us. He's been working around. So many people working around. Thank you all, working around the clock for the Swansons first ever Christmas
Right.
song.
And that's what we named it, the Swansons Christmas song.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it goes like this. All I really want for Christmas,
One thing on my list.
all I really want for Christmas.
That's about, a little piece of it.
Good job.
You can check it out on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and
Yeah, and you
on our website, the swansonsmusic.com. So yeah, making the Christmas video, that was amazing, dressing up like Santa Claus and all that, and bring our son Sky, who, by the way, just did an awesome job. He decided at the end of the video, he asked Vic if he could have a little private time to the camera and do his own scene, and I was just blown to pieces when he had suggested that, and then to watch him from the other room dance around and answer the phone.
I had to be in the other room, otherwise he probably would have got more shy, but he wanted to do his own scene.
And that's something that, in years to come, we'll be able to reflect back on those memories.
Yeah, he
and
did such a good job.
Just amazing.
He's a little elf.
Yeah, and it wasn't so easy. What you see is a lot of friendly animals dancing around, and underneath those suits that were strangling us, at least me, sometimes the outtakes probably don't sound too joyous, let me say, but it was a lot of fun, and we always look forward to making videos. We make videos on a weekly basis for our live show. So this is something that we have dedicated our lives to, pretty much.
That's right, and we got very busy in the middle of 2018, making all the videos for Country This, so that way when we play our live show, we have a synced video, right? So then we kind of slowed down at the end of 2018, but now we're gonna pick it back up 2019 with making all our videos for BAM, because we're gonna be bringing those.
That's right, because our new album,
BAM!
is coming out in 2019.
This year.
And it is extraordinary. I'll tell you what our producer has done and what these musicians have done is just phenomenal. So we can't wait for that. www.theswansonsmusic.com. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. We are thrilled to have with us from the Midniters, the one and only
Jimmy Espinoza.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Swansonville. We have the great privilege to interview the legendary, wonderfully talented Jimmy Espinoza of the Midniters today.
Hi, you guys.
And we are looking forward to finding out a whole bunch of stuff about Jimmy from way back when to now.
Present day, yeah, to see new projects going on for this year, 2019.
That's right. So let's get started, Angie. Let's ask Jimmy a few questions and,
That's right.
and get a little
First
information
question
here.
for you, Jimmy.
Well, first of all, I'm welcome. Very happy to be here.
Wonderful.
Very happy. These guys are really, really great. And I'm not saying that because they're interviewing me. I'm saying it because I really mean it. And I've been a Swanson fan for maybe a little bit of part of a year. And I'm just glad to be here.
Thank you, Jimmy, man. We appreciate that. We appreciate it so much. And we're anxious to find out about you and how you became this legendary figure in music with your band, starting with your childhood, right, Ange?
Yeah, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Boyle Heights, which is adjacent to East Los Angeles, California. And I went to Catholic school. I had a wonderful mom. She taught me all about things that a young man needs to know. So I went to Catholic school pretty much up to 17, 18 years old. Then I went to a local college, East LA College. In that interim, I just got fascinated by music.
Wow.
And I actually was a kind of a bright kid because I hung around with a group of all kids who were from broken homes. So you kind of huddle together and say, what's up? What's this life all about?
Yeah.
And these people are crazy. The guy went to see a psychiatrist for 20 years and then he jumped off a bridge. He didn't get his money's worth.
Right.
Right? The guy didn't do his job. Anyway, so I thought about music and I said, that's probably the coolest thing to do because you're just bringing love and peace and joy and all that good stuff.
Is this something that when you were a smaller child, were you immediately attracted to music? Did you have that available to you? Was your family involved in music?
None of them really. I got in my first band not because I was particularly talented with music. I just had cool hair.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
That's,
I
yeah.
had the Elvis thing and all that whole thing, you know. And my good friend Johnny Gamboa from the Crowns, it was Johnny and the Crowns, he was fascinating, and he at our high school first year freshman mixer, he was playing guitar and singing La Bamba and all these tunes. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. So I asked him at the end of the gig, I didn't even know the term gig then. I asked him, hey, he was sitting waiting for his father to pick him up. And I said, can I see your guitar? And he goes, oh, no, my father won't let me. And I said, what? And he said, my father won't let me. I said, what are you talking about, your father won't let me? Hey, wow, what's this? And so that started like a love-hate relationship. He hated me for belittling him. He was a shy entertainer, and I was just a ballsy young punk.
Yeah.
To make a long story short, we ended up being the best of friends. And he said, hey, man, why don't you join my band? And I said, why? He said, well, you can meet a lot of girls. I said, I don't need music to get girls. It was true.
Right.
I always was a talker. So he said, yeah, but you'd have fun. So I said, okay. He was a good guy. So that's how I got started.
Okay, so
I was a background singer at first.
So you didn't have any experience then when he
No.
asked you to just
He
joined
told me,
in.
He said, do like I do, monkey.
That's great.
Monkey see, monkey do. So I said, okay, Angel Baby, it's just like heaven being here with Chewy. That's what I did. And then he taught me the bongos. I started playing bongos, and the band hated me because they thought I was no talented. But I think he hired me to procure women during the break.
Yeah.
Anyway, it ended up in me learning how to play the upright bass fiddle, so I could learn how. And I played tuba in the high school band, so I could get legitimized because his drummer and his guitar player were, having a problem with me joining the band and not having any musical skills.
Right.
And so I just learned it, and after a couple of years, I just got hooked. So I started to study.
Well, thanks to him then for bringing you in, and not only that, but I mean you were doing him favors as well,
Yeah,
But
encouraging you to try something new, and you knew you wanted to do music,
Yes,
but,
I did.
But so how do you get started? I feel like it relates a lot to me and our story, because I wasn't doing any music before.
Yeah.
And then now I had to learn it, So
Yes.
it's like, and then you just do it. And it's
Yes, you had it in you. The gift was in you, and then all of a sudden it becomes developed. There's
through
no.
somebody else.
Yes,
bringing it
most
out of you.
people who have that kind of thing, musicians, they have it, and then they develop it. But it's not about how much you learn; it's about how you interpret what's in your heart.
when
right?
did you
And
realize? Excuse me, I didn't interrupt you, but have the realization that you had a gift of music. That it wasn't just picking up the girls on the sidelines there.
Well, I actually, I don't think I really had that realization. I just kept on enjoying it and kept on doing what I enjoy, and there was no other option. So all that accolades, well, you're really cool, you're really great, all that stuff, I didn't pay attention to. I just kept on, because I didn't want it to mess with the purity of what I was feeling.
Yeah.
Because I saw a lot, you read the headlines, all this stuff, it was fake, and this was real, so I just pursued it, really.
Was there anybody that you looked up to in particular musically in your career?
Well, I liked Ricky Nelson.
Really?
Ricky Nelson, I thought he was cool from the old Ozzie and
Very
Harriet
cool.
shows.
Yeah.
I used to like, he used
Garden
to...
Party.
Yes, he used to be, he's singing, he would close his eyes, and he was shy. I said, oh, that's me, I like Ricky.
Wow. That's very cool.
And I liked Elvis Presley, and of course I liked all the guys from the 60s, I liked all the doo-wop singers, and I liked the rock and roll, and Bill Haley and the Comets, Rock Round the Clock, Alan Freedman when they did all those Blackboard Jungle, all those pirate, movies, and the Crimson Pirate. I was just in love with everything. Television, wow, television, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I was always a sick kid, and I was raised by a wonderful mother, but I just had this, I was sick, but I had a happy heart.
Yeah.
And so it just came out. So to me, it wasn't a big intellectual thing. It was just more of, wow, this is cool, and the rest of the world's kind of weird anyway, so I'll just do this.
Right. Yeah.
The Beatles came out, right?
Was there any particular moment that you can think of in your mind that's sort of like that shining moment where you know this is the rest of my life, when you're maybe facing an audience, or maybe it's a performance, your first performance? At some point, did it trigger something?
Yeah. After a couple of years studying, I picked up the Fender bass. I knew Leo Fender. He was a good friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
That is
Yeah.
cool.
In fact, Leo, I had one of the first, Carol Kay from the Wrecking Crew. She's a good friend of mine. In fact, she was the first one to get the Fender bass and use the pick.
Really?
She was a guitar player. And she was hanging out. They were all genius musicians from Hollywood. I mean,
Yeah.
but with a lot of soul, a lot of feeling. But they were extremely well
I
educated.
saw a documentary on the Wrecking Crew.
Carol's
Just
a wonderful
amazing.
friend. Yeah, she says, Jimmy, I'm gonna tell you something. You know, when you got the honey, the bees come around. And she said, you got the honey. I said, well, thank you, Carol. I could have told you that. But that's why we were enjoying each other's company. Yeah, Carol was a wonderful lady. She was a big influence. And I just had so many great teachers. Now, as far as teachers are concerned, I sought out the best teachers. I studied with Ray Brown. He was the #1 jazz pole bass player from Oscar Peterson Trio. Did the Johnny Carson show, the Merv Griffin show. I studied classical music. I'm overqualified for every position. I studied classical music with Nat Gingursky. He was from the Philharmonic. At one point, I was going to be a classical bass player, but I found out that this is a long story. I just have I have too much information.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing
Probably
with
the
us.
thing
Tell
I'm going
us.
to do is I'm going to end up just being a stand-up comedian just to see if I can do it.
I was going to say, if you're playing the stand-up bass, that's a whole different set of girls, right?
Yes.
It's a whole different scene.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. There's no dots and there's no frets. So you have to feel it. And I studied the German bow technique. You do this, and you have to have the bass here, and you draw it like this. So in a sense, I was learning the Tai Chi thing even then.
Wow.
And then the discipline to do all that is quite something. So it just gave me a really interesting, kind of an outlook when I play the rock and roll and the pop and the R&B stuff. So I'm still doing it. I'm studying now still with a beautiful mentor. She's a wonderful gospel singer, and she's giving me some high registers so I can,
That's
do
awesome.
some things that I want to do. So it's been an amazing ride.
How did you get involved with that? And did you start the Midniters?
No, the Midniters, spelled TheMidniters. We've been in the business for 53 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Has that
thank
been a
you.
steady ride all the way through?
No, there was some breaks in between.
Some breaks in between?
Yeah, there was some breaks in between. There was about 10-15 year period when I was doing other things. I was doing a lot of studio work, and then I decided to bring the back band together again. And long story, that's pretty much online. If you go to Wikipedia, there's a lot of stuff on us. So I don't know how much time we have.
So you met somebody who already had this band, the Midniters?
No. The Midniters band was a metamorphosis, and it chronologically had different people come in and out of the scene, and it became the recording band in 1964, 1965 when I joined. So there were different people, different guitar players, different bass players, it was called Benny and the Midniters, who was a conga player. And long story, but there was just an in and out kind of thing before it was the Midniters. I was like the Ringo that replaced the Pete Best bass player, and they were all buddies of mine. They got him out, they got me in, and although he was in on some of the earlier recordings too, in all fairness, but this was the chemistry, so we just wrote it and started writing and recording, and it just was wonderful. Our first hit was Whittier Boulevard, which is it's kind of a tribute to this Rolling Stones 2020 Michigan Avenue, which was on one of their first recordings. And then we recorded Empty Heart, which is another one of their hit songs, and Everybody Needs Somebody to Love, which was another one. And so we had kind of like a rock feel, but our lead singer was from South Central, so he had this soul feeling. He had the African-American black experience. And then myself and some of the horn players We liked Stan Kenton, we liked Henry Mancini, Frank Sinatra, Johnny Mathis. So we brought that legitimate kind of stuff to our singer and opened his head and just dumped it in.
Well, for those of us in our audience, including us, it would be interesting to know, how do you go about getting a hit record? What are the steps? Now, you write the song, you record the song, you have a manager, you have an agent, you're with a record company. How do you get the, how does all that magic happen for you?
I don't know.
It's just magic.
I couldn't answer that question. I'll tell you what I do know is that if you have something in your heart and it's so burning that there's no other alternative, the rest sort of comes along, as you guys know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm still looking for that magic formula if anybody has it.
You are the magic formula.
Well, thank you.
And so are you, Angie.
Thank you.
Angie, baby. Oh, you sang that too. The magic formula is your heart. You young guys, young chicks and dudes want to know, it is your heart. Your heart beats and your heart attracts. So if you got any stuff that doesn't belong in there, I suggest you get it out and just replace it and just think what's in your heart. The scripture says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. They said, well, what does that mean? That means what's in your heart will usually come out in your mouth. So if you don't believe in something, you go, well, I really don't know. Can I really make it? Well, there's so many obstacles. Well, what about the, you know, forget it. If you believe it, you say, thank you. Whoever you pray to, I pray to God, the only one, but it's okay. I'm not going to fuss.
Right.
You know, Buddha bless you, L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology. Yeah, I read all of it. I read it all, and it's just real simple. What's in your heart?
Yeah.
And so, so you listen to your heart, and then what happens? You continue, and then you stay away from people that don't believe.
Yes.
You just
Agreed.
It's about boundaries, right? You just have to just stay away from people that don't see it your way, and just because it's not selfish. It's following your heart, and some people just won't hang with you because they have a different path. That's okay.
Yes.
So I hope I didn't overdo this subject, but just follow your heart.
No, I know. Agreed.
Yeah, but wait a minute. But how do I? That'll all come. Get all this training that you need if you're a musician, if you're an actor, if you're a lawyer. It could be anything. You just start what was here, put there by your creator, and then follow it.
Okay, so yeah, speaking of following your heart, which that's what we've been doing on this journey.
And I saw that on stage at the Rose when I first met you guys. I was sitting in the audience to see another friend of mine, and they came on, and I said, "Wait a minute, no way! You got me up dancing." I was and I said, I don't dance anymore, right? I just sit in a whole court now.
Good,
Well, I like what you said too about people that lift you up. It's very important, and what you said is it's not a bad thing to let people go out of your life that aren't conducive to your spiritual journey and your happiness.
Amen.
So that being said, you seem to have surrounded yourself with quite a group of people, with the Midniters and all the longitude that you've had. You must have great camaraderie with those people.
Yes, I do. And for a while during that period that I was kind of researching all this stuff out, after the group had its heyday, there was like a dark period. We've all go through that dark period. My best friends became books, authors, people that never gave up, and it led me right to the scriptures, and that just opened it up. And so I did a deep study of the scriptures, and I say that scriptures so I don't put into any one denomination, Presbyterian, Christian, Catholic, just scriptures. The scriptures, and there's many different interpretations. I studied the scriptures, and I sort of found a connection for me personally. And the more I did that, the more all the other yucky stuff just left, the darkness, and I was I can't say I was happy during that period, but I was very gratified that I found, here's the link.
Yeah.
And I just kept on following the dots until till finally I had sort of like an epiphany,
Yeah.
as you guys did. Your video of the dark side, and then
Yes.
you meeting each other. That really, I actually shed a tear. A little bit of tear put me down, spoiled my act like a clown, but it was a happy tear.
Yeah.
And so I can't say enough of that. So you guys are an exemplification, if I can use a 50-cent word, to the whole idea of what it is. With the questions they're asking me, these guys are living examples of what you're asking me as well. So here we are. all
That's
together.
right. Yes.
So you get signed to a record contract, I'm assuming. With who did you sign a deal with?
Well, we were originally with a record company called Chattahoochee Records, which was it was a subsidiary of GNP, which was Gene Norman Presents. He was an old Hollywood guy on the Sunset Strip, and we were with them for a year, and then we did a concert, opened up for Jose Feliciano. And I was working at a record store, and I was going to school in case this music thing didn't pan out.
Plan B.
I need something in the back, something to do.
Fall
to
back on, right?
I said, nah, I just did it because my mom said, you never know. I said, I know what, but I did it ceremoniously, right? So in working at a record store, I used to deliver the records. In those days, you used to go to the one stop. They give you the records and the 45s and the LPs, which are popular now again.
Yeah.
Incidentally, and so I made a lot of relationships with the record companies. And RCA Victor, a beautiful woman, knew of the group, and she said, that we heard you guys at opening up for Jose, because he was on RCA Victor, and she said, would you be interested if I set up a meeting? I said, sure. So a gentleman by the name of Neely Plum, he was the West Coast administrator. So we had done our first album on Chattahoochee, so we had Whittier Boulevard and Land of a Thousand Dances. Na 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 na. Oh my God! We didn't write that song, but Chris Kenner wrote it, and we heard it on a album by Rufus Thomas, who did Walking the Dog.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to walk that dog, right? I started barking. Anyway, so to make a long story longer, I'll probably edit this out. I want the long version and the short version. Why? Because I practice narcissism. But we come by it honestly.
That's right. That's right.
So they set up a meeting, and I went with my manager. We had a first album, and here's what I did know to talk about knowledge of the business. I studied Paul McCartney and Linda Eastman, and the Beatles were a very big influence on how to conduct business. Brian Epstein, right?
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones, Andrew Luke Oldham. They all had a philosophy of how they used what they worked years to get, the
Yes.
success and the blessings and the graces. But there was a method. So I used to study them, and I used to implement that. I knew, okay, we got two national hits. Now this is something that everybody can benefit from. We had two national hits. We have an album out. What we do now is crucial to the longevity of our success.
Right.
We could have one album and two singles, and that's it.
And that's it,
If we
yeah.
don't ascend. So that was the thought process in saying, well, let's go talk to RCA Victor, because RCA Victor, they had the worldwide connection. There was already a machine, and we had done, we were successful on a smaller label. Now it was time. But our manager had other plans, right? So there's the turning point.
Yeah.
And which turned out to be a blessing in disguise, but that's a whole other subject. We need 3 Swansons.
We'll have you back. man.
Yeah.
Yeah. To make a long story short, we went in, we spoke to Neely Plum, we played him the demo we had. We had one side done. We didn't have the other side of the album finished. He liked it. He wanted to see more. So he made an appointment with our manager to go into the studio, minus me, because I was always the one, what is he doing? What is he up to, right? I never trusted managers that much,
Yeah.
you know. Paul McCartney,
Right.
he was pretty savvy. So to make some sense out of this, the manager, I didn't hear from him, and all the guys said, well, what happened with the RCA deal, man? You know, because I was sort of like I was the Poindexter, I was like the spokesman.
Right.
I did all the contracts, I registered our songs with BMI, I was the musician union, always doing the Paul McCartney.
Right. Taking care of business.
Here we are,
Yeah.
you know, how you doing, bloke? And shaking hands with everybody. I loved it. I'm a natural at that because of me being that hyper kid back in East LA, right? So anyhow, so what happened was he turned down the deal, and I asked him about it. He said, oh, well, it just probably wouldn't work out. He said, let's form our own record company. So we did, and it was Whittier Records, and we patterned ourselves after Herb Albert and the
Really?
Tijuana Brass. Now, Herb Albert A&M Records. So he was a Jewish trumpet player that went down to Tijuana and got this idea of the Tijuana Brass, and the rest was history.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, well, if he can do it, we can do it. And I believe that, even though I wanted to go with RCA, but that deal was closed. So what we did, we formed Whittier Records. So our second, third, and fourth album, we produced ourselves, and we ended up writing more material. And
Oh, how cool is that? You started your own label and put out your own albums, which is magnificent that you would take the reins in such a way to do that. That's something that we're actually in the midst of doing. We started Golden Goose Entertainment.
That's right.
And,
For the publishing side of it, and then we have TSM Group LLC, which stands for The Swansons Music
wonderful.
Group LLC.
But we
So-
do, it's a very, our faith in the Lord is very, very upfront and important to us, and important to us to convey that to people that are listening to our music, so that they know who we are, and that's very important to us. And I noticed that you walk in faith very, very deeply. And how did you arrive in your spiritual journey at this present time where you're at?
Yeah,
So deep with the Lord.
I think going through the dark alleys, and Bob Dylan said it, Desolation Row. There's nothing but darkness, sad-eyed lady of the lowlands, right? How does it feel, to be on your own? All those things, the first one now will later be last, as the last one will be first. All that, those spiritual messages that I got from the artists led me to my fundamental belief in Jesus. And my mother raised me to believe in Jesus, and I've always believed in him, but then I started to study more about the scriptures. This is why I say scriptures, because it's a personal thing. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything.
Right.
Right.
This is your personal experience, your personal
It's
journey.
an invitation.
Yes.
And I'll do that again. It's an invitation.
That's right.
And those invitations are the sweetest ones. So I just came to him naturally because I said, wow. And of course, Joe, I read everything. I went to all the New Age books. I read everything twice on the shelves. The metaphysics, the Masters of the Far East, the left, the occult, Aleister Crowley. I even read the Book of Satan. I wanted to find what's up. I'm the curious guy from East LA.
Right.
What are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
These are all people who wrote things down just like me. They're men and women. So when I had that realization, I started to realize that the God that's in me will, go back to the manufacturer, for Christ's sake.
Yes.
For Christ's sake.
Yeah.
And ask him, how do I do this? So that was kind of like a basic, simple question. And little by little, it started unraveling, and my faith got stronger and stronger. And now yet there are still things when I look at the internet and see all the problems left, right, in between. It bothers me as it should, but I don't hang there anymore.
Yeah. No, you can't.
You have to, because you have a gift. You guys have the gift. If it was impacting you, I wouldn't have seen the lovely, emanation of your hearts, two beating,
Right.
with all this beautiful stuff that attracted me to get me to dance.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's that simple faith. however you express it, you know, it's faith. It's from the same faith. I'm not going to kibitz about what blueprint you use. That's a lot of things. A lot of people, well, you don't do this, you're going to hell. You don't do that. I said, you know, end all those noises. What's up, God?
Yes.
Right? And so that's where I'm coming from. So it's an invitation, but you know, whatever works for you. You know?
Well, Jesus works for us just fine. So we're
Hallelujah,
you know.
hallelujah.
It's 2019, so what projects or anything you have coming up this year that you want to tell us about?
Yes, I'll be recording 3 CDs, and I'll be doing one with the Midniters, and we'll be doing what we have traditionally done best, some originals and covers. We were very good interpreters, so a lot of the songs that we did on our first albums weren't ours, but the people, we'd find obscure gems and record them and put our stamp on them. And so we'll do a nice collection of oldie gems, sort of like Art LeBeau and the old school. We enjoy doing a lot of his old school shows at the Honda Center, and we do all the casinos, the Indian casinos, these old school shows. So there's a treasure chest of stuff there that we're known for in our community and the other communities. So I'm going to give some of that, 1 CD devoted to that, then 1 CD, a double set of material that I'm going to get adventurous and invite other people to be involved. So with the group, you know, the group itself surrounded with other singers and songwriters that I happen to like, to give it a flavor of what we always did, which was adventure out into new forms, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll be doing a solo thing for myself.
Oh, cool. So the second project you spoke of is reminding me of what Carlos Santana did
That's
in his
exactly
career.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. In fact, it's funny you should mention that. Great minds think alike. Thank you. That's one of the templates that I have in my head for inviting other people.
I would love to be a part of that. I can see something transpiring that would be very, very user-friendly.
Absolutely. Incidentally, we are going to do some projects together, because some of his material that I've already heard that I have some ideas to do, and then there's some new stuff. In fact, I have some new some chordal ideas that we can. There's part there for a couple of the singers in there. We'll see what we come up with.
Yeah, very cool.
Husband and wife teams, I'm real partial to, Sonny and Cher, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I got you, babe.
That's right. Is there anything in particular that you would like to say to your fans, both old and new, and people that haven't seen you that are going to be seeing the new Midniters and your new projects, and how you're branching out and reaching out to a whole new generation of people?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would like to say that as you follow the Swansons and link into the Midniters, look up Wikipedia, the Midniters, the band. I have a station on Pandora, the Midniters station. A lot of my stuff is available for streaming worldwide. So as you get into check out the band, we have a huge underground garage following. In fact, the punk movement of the 80s, most of those guys weaned themselves on Midnighter B-sides. And the group, we used to do just crazy rock and roll stuff.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, and so, you know, the Sex Pistols, the New York Dolls, the Ramones, Lux Interior and the Cramps, Kid Congo, and I forget the other, his group. But this was unbeknownst to me. I was doing a concert. Somebody comes up and says, "Hey man, can you play Found a Peanut?" I said, "Found a Peanut? We never performed that. That's a B-side. We just ate it." He said, "Oh man," it made me feel like I can play guitar and sing, because the song was a spoof on a camp song where our lead singer, who sings gorgeous, sings like Goofy. I found a peanut one day, right? And it don't 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 don't. I found a peanut one day. It became a hit for this guy, and all of a sudden I found out this whole garage underground people that credited the band. So I had Latino, Mexican American, or whatever, American Mexican, all those labels. I'm just me, but we always in the '60s we had an equal amount of Anglo following as well as Latino following. So because the band couldn't be contained, because we couldn't be contained, because we were just musicians.
Right.
We never thought of it as anything. Racial, spatial. You know, a chick is a chick, a dude's a dude. You know what I'm saying? right. Sad girl, the town I live in. Those I used to call them baby making songs. Were more for the hot blooded, and then when we play we play a lot of the faster stuff when we play for Casey Kasem or Sam Riddle, or we did all the shows in the '60s. It was called the Sizzling '60s. We did every single TV show. We weren't categorized as any one type of a group, which is probably why it was hard to get a contract other than RCA Victor, because we had so many places we can go.
Yeah.
Going to a go, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I want to say to everybody, check out the band, get into it, because it's as relevant today. I have people coming up that are 8, 9, 10 years old that know the band. So we are certainly through Swansonville, I'm exposing myself to yet another golden arm of these lovely musician friends of mine. But we also have a lot already there. So my goal in 2019 is to connect all these dots and just have a great old time making music with my friends.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Any kids?
Kids? No.
You know any kids? I was just checking.
I don't have any kids, but your story meeting your lovely wife is so inspirational to me. I said, well, you know what? If Joe can do it, I'm a good guy too.
That's right.
So it just I do have aspirations to meet the one like you did, because your story is just their story is so amazing. I mean, it really is.
Thank you.
Any of you guys who know them, you probably know that video, when you meet each other.
Yeah.
So there's hope for the Gipper here, and you guys will be invited to my wedding.
Awesome.
Oh
Wonderful.
man, I'm looking forward to that. And
Yes, sir.
folks, we are just so honored and privileged once again to have our good friend here and this brilliant musician, wonderfully faithful and dedicated and creative man, our friend Jimmy Espinoza
Espinoza.
from
Thank
the
you so much.
Midnighters. Thank you so much, Jimmy. God bless
Thank
you,
you
man.
so much, Joe. We love you.
Love you too.
Love you. Thank you.
Peace, y'all. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Swansonville. Me, Joe, here, Angie. And thank you, Jimmy, for a wonderful interview. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
And,
Thanks for the world for tuning in and learning more about your great, wonderful musician, Jimmy.
Jimmy Espinoza of the Midniters.
That's right.
We're going to close the show out, as we normally do, with a song. This time around, we're going to play a song from our current release, Country This. The title track, why not?
Yeah,
Country
because
This.
we haven't done it yet.
Yeah, let's just do like a kind of a slow bluesy thing. We'll just try to do it a little bit. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. It sure is nice to see you, as far as I can tell. Just one more margarita, then we'll both know pretty well. Why don't you hit the dance floor when you hear your favorite song? And I'll be right there behind you, baby. Dance, sing along. Well, I'll twirl you once and I'll steal a kiss. Let's see if you can country this.
You badass, funky gentleman who made you show up here. Let's head back to the bar so I can buy us both a beer. Get your name and number, maybe call you on the phone, or we could stay here till they close the place, and then I'll take you home.
Well, I'll twirl you once and I'll steal a kiss. Let's see if you can country this. I'm packing up my guitar and heading out of town, driving toward my future, and I hope you'll be around.
When you get out on the highway, you'll be sitting next to me, because last night we both made plans to move to Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeehaw! I'll twirl you once and I'll steal a kiss. Let's see if you can country this. I'll twirl you once and I'll steal a kiss. Let's see if you can country this. I'll twirl you once, I'll steal a kiss. Let's see if you can country this.
Very good.
Thank you, man. I might have sped that up a little bit, but you know.
I know, right?
I
We
tend to
started
do
off
those
slow.
things.
That's what happens.
Kind of like Tina and Ike, you know, with the.
Oh,
John,
I just love that song.
But anyways, that was Country This, and thank y'all for dropping in, and welcome to Swansonville.
Swansonville podcast.
And that's it for this, and until next time, peace, God bless. I love you, Ange.
Love you too.
We love y'all. Tune in next week.